Hey, so working on the first gen today. I got some go fast parts, which I'll show you in a minute. And also I have a power steering fluid. I have a power steering leak that we got to fix. You see right there where it's dripping. I believe that it's the actual fill or the inlet tube that's leaking because I brake cleaned it all off yesterday. So we're gonna pull that out of there and fix that problem. And then we're gonna do some go fast parts. So come along, I'll bring you along for the ride. All right, so while we're waiting for that power steering to leak out, because I don't want to get completely covered in ATF fluid, probably going to, but I don't want to get completely covered in it. Thought I'd show you what we're doing. So I bought a tach setup to put into the old first gen. That's what we're going to do next. I don't know if we're going to get it all done today or not, but I am going to try. So the complication of this is, yes, you can put it on the autometer, but I want to make sure that it works properly and it's accurate. Also, I wanted to put a shift light on it. So this is a magnet pickup tach. So let's just open this bad boy up here. Magic happens, and this thing is this sensor right here. So we're gonna have to make a bracket. I'm also gonna have to take the harmonic balancer off and cut grooves in the harmonic balancer. But we're gonna have to make a bracket for this magnet switch, so that when it comes around, there's a groove, 4 grooves in the harmonic balancer for this to trigger off of. You could build a plate or something, but I'm just gonna put some little notches in the harmonic balancer because I can do that. And I can use a dividing head. I'll show you guys how I'm gonna do it. Then I won't throw off the balance because it'll be equal cuts and everything. Anyways, we have all the bits in there. The part that's kind of sucks with these is that the way that it's set up is that you can't put a shift light on this gauge without this adapter. So you have to buy this adapter, which is another $150, so that I can put this shift light on the gauge. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that's what we're putting performance, I guess it's technically not performance stuff, but will give us an idea. This has a recall, so we'll be able to tell when we were shifting, and then this is also going to tell us when to shift. Because I think that when I'm running the truck down the track, now that I can get it to launch, before any time that I run the truck, I could never get it to launch. I couldn't get on top of the chargers for multiple reasons. But anyways, we won't get into that for now. Now that I can do that, I need to figure out when I need to be shifting. So this is the next step. So we're going to get this installed, and then power steering fixed. We're going to get this installed. And then I also have to figure out why the line lock's not working. So we got to deal with that. And then a couple of little things I want to fix. And then hopefully this coming Friday, today is Saturday, this coming Friday, we're going to go back up to test and tune because we're running out of nice weather here. So it won't be long before we won't be able to go anymore, which sucks. Should be in Texas or somewhere warm all the time. Anyways, I'm not, so what do we do? Also, I did also get some different switches. These are supposed to be really good switches. Whoops. I also did get some switches. These are supposed to be really good switches. When I go to install those, ultra quick micro switch is what they call it. When I go to install these, I will talk about that at that given time, but they're supposed to be super whizzy switches. So, and one of the switches, I think that's part of the problem with my line lock. I think the switch is no good because the wire got caught in the steering column. So I'm not gonna buy another one of those. I'm just going to set up a better switch and you just unplug it when you're just driving the truck around. So anyways, let's go back over to the truck and we'll get that power steering fixed.
pump is the industrial style pump. I'm sure I'll probably get questions on where do you get one of those pumps. They are not very easy to find. They did come on like the Grumman vans with 4BTs and stuff in them. That's what this one originally came off, was an engine that I bought. I actually bought the engine for that pump and then resold the engine, funny enough. But anyways, you can see where there's a crack there. I'll actually put a picture of it up. After I'm done talking here, I'll show a little picture of what it is, or where the crack was. And I found that it was silver soldered, like the actual joint was silver soldered, so I figured the easiest way to fix it was just to it was just a small little crack, to just hit it with a little bit of braze and fix it up. And yes, I did not use a brazing tip. I just used a regular torch because it's just a small little repair, and you can do it that way, as long as you know how to do it. Let's put it that way, as long as you know how to do it. But pretty easy to do. I was going to take the actual tin piece off of the back of the pump, but it didn't want to come off, and I didn't want to mangle it, so I figured, you know what, I will just leave it alone. So I took all the fittings and stuff out and bolts, and then just resealed them because there's some O-rings on that part of it. But the pump in itself and everything is quite a ways away from that very end piece, so I wasn't too worried about hurting anything. But hopefully that'll have it all fixed up, and yeah, we'll go from there.
All right, guys, so I got the power steering pump back in, filled it up with fluid. This system is really simple because it has a reservoir down here. I also have a reservoir up here that my lines bleed into. So it's super easy. You just fill it up, run it for 30 seconds, shut it off, fill that back up again, good to go. So if any of you guys are wondering, this hydro boost is out of a 3rd gen Dodge. So, and it's a very, very simple setup. I will get into that more later because on Shay's truck, when we do the engine work on his, I think we're going to switch his over to hydro boost, so I'll talk about that. But it's a 3rd gen, it's super simple swap to do if that's what you want, if you want to have a hydro boost. So now I need to take the harmonic balancer out, down in there. So I think I could probably get it out without taking the rad out, but being that this has a lot of water in it versus coolant, I have to drain it anyway. So I think I'm just going to drain the coolant out and pull the rad out so I can get the harmonic balancer out easier. So I'm going to drain the coolant out and then pull the rad, harmonic balancer. I'll put that into time lapse, and then I need to set that harmonic balancer up on the mill so that we can cut the grooves in it. So when I get to that point, when I'm getting ready to set up on the mill, I'll come back to you guys, talk for a few minutes. All right, guys, got this thing set up in the mill. Not how I originally anticipated doing it. I was going to use the dividing head, but I can't do that. So we're just going to do it this way. I just got it centered in here. You've seen me getting it just level from side to side. I got it within 5 thou here. Should be close enough for what we're doing. And this is actually already marked because of the what the balancer is actually for. It's for a VP44 engine, which obviously our engine is not that, but that's the one that I wanted. So what we're gonna have to do here is I have to cut these grooves in here. So they want us to cut them, oh, 1/2 inch wide. All right, it's gotta be 1/2 inch wide and 3/16 of an inch deep. So I guess I have to change this. I thought it was 1/4 inch for some reason, but that's okay. I guess it's because I've seen 1/4 inch material. Anyways, so we gotta cut a 1/2 inch gap, 3/16 of an inch deep. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm going to change that to a 1/2 inch, and then we will cut it 3/16 of an inch deep. If you had to do it, if you take a tape measure, like I think they call it a seamstress tape measure, or one for doing like clothing and stuff, or if you just have a bendable tape measure, you can go all the way around and then you just measure it. Obviously, if you just have to do, you know, your 0, 90, 180, and 270. Had a brain fart there for a second. Anyways, it's pretty easy to do. Something I did want to show you just quick for you guys that are doing this stuff, and this is maybe something that you have never seen. That's my wife. You've never seen done before. So if you guys are doing, if I knew what I was doing here, if you guys are working with fractions and you don't know what the equivalent to the fraction is, I'm sure some of you guys know this. Let's say you take 3/8 and you divide it by 8, 375. Works for all fractions. Like if you want to do 1/8, so 1 divided by 8, 125. And that 3/16, 3 divided by 16, 187.50. That's just a little tidbit for you guys that didn't know that. Super easy way to go from a fraction to a decimal for you guys that didn't know. Just thought I'd mention it. Sometimes that stuff I forget that I know that some of the people don't know. So anyways, let's I am going to pin this crankshaft. Decided, being this thing does a lot of loping, and I have had these bolts loosen up on me a little bit. You can see where the holes are just a little bit tiny wonky. So we are going to put one pin in this thing while we're already here, so I don't have to take it apart again for any reason. Hopefully don't have to. Also, something else that I was going to mention, this kit, if you guys are interested, I'm going to show the whole install on this tach. The part number on this, I'm going to put all this stuff in the link to the description for you guys that are interested, the part numbers. If I can find links on Amazon, I'll put them on there, but that's the part number. And like I said, it's a magnet pickup. So for these trucks, unless you have the factory set up in the dash with the tach and all that stuff, you could probably set it up that way. I know, I shouldn't say it, you probably can. You can. I have just never done it that way. And I wanted something that I knew was going to be, that was going to work all the time. And I need something that'll go to 5,000 RPM because this thing it's got a 5K spring in it with the pump set. So I should defuel probably, let's say 48, 4,900-ish. So I wanted also something that was a big thing is this has a whatchamacallit in it, a brain dead, come on, a recall. So it'll actually tell me the RPM that we hit. Also, I wanted the shift light. That was the reason I bought the adapter. Like I said before, the adapter. This is the adapter kit. And you can set your shift light. And I really wanted the shift light. So really all of this is so that I can have a shift light more than anything. And also the recall on that so that I can see how high I did rev it. That was something I did want to know as well. This engine is a well-built engine, but not bulletproof. So I prefer not to murder it because I do have a lot of money into it. So let's get this bolted on. This pin kit, we're just going to bolt on. This is the drill. This is the reamer. And then we'll get it all together. And then we have to build a bracket for this, which is the magnet pickup. So we have to build a bracket for that on the engine. So that will be our next thing to do after I get this done. So let's get after it here. Oh, I'll put a link also too. Actually, I'll put it right here. And I'll also put a link in the description for the part number of this if you're interested there. Again, if I can find links for this stuff on Amazon, I'll put it on there, linked for Amazon with the part number on there. And then eventually it will be linked onto the website as well. But that'll be down the road a little bit. But for you guys that are interested, I am working more on the website. I have not done the new rendition of the website, like changed it. So I just thought I'd mention that too. Thanks. We've had like 8 or 9 people buy merchandise. That was kind of cool. So any of you guys that want to buy merch, go ahead, do that. I'm not sure what we're doing exactly for the engine giveaway as it stands. So if you guys want to buy merch, go ahead and do that. We didn't have enough response on that, but I'll talked about that in the next video. So, all right, we're going to go back into time lapse and get this thing done. Hey guys, so got the balancer on. Did you guys seen? I made up this little bracket, just out of 1/8 flat bar aluminum. Just bent it up on the brake. A couple holes in it. Put a little step in it so that it steps out. I probably could have put a little bit less of a step in it, but I'm okay with that. It's got a 40 thou. They want between 30 and 50 thou. So I kind of tried to do it in the 40. I don't know how accurate it actually has to be, but I actually use 40 thou feeler gauge. So we will see what comes of that. Obviously, I'm running out of time today because it's 7:00 p.m. for me. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to get the rad back in and get it filled up with coolant. So if I have to move the truck out of here Monday, I can. Well, I could move it without the rad in it. That doesn't matter, but it'd be nice to get the rad back in. So I'm gonna stuff the rad back in, hook that back up, fill her up with coolant. Maybe run it for a minute or two. So it'll be in the same video. It'll just be a different day for me. We are going to install this baby and get the shift light and all that jazz working. Probably take me, I'd like to say 1 night, but I'm gonna say probably 2 nights. So this is gonna be a little bit longer of a video. I might try to break some of it up maybe. I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, see you shortly. Got the tach installed. I have not finished the install yet, but the tach is installed. It's an autometer 6806. So it has a magnet pickup. Don't mind the wiring. I have not finished it yet. Quiet. That is how we got the tach installed right now. It's just off the side of the shifter. I don't mind that, but I want the shift light to work. And this is why I bought this. And it does not work. So I've called Autometer, talked to them twice about it, and they said you got to do this. I tried it, doesn't work twice, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do there. A little bit more research on it. I've never put a tach on one of these before, like this anyway. It has a magnet pickup down there. You can see where I made the bracket to hold it, so that is all good. And you guys seen me cut the grooves in the harmonic balancer and all that jazz, so that all works good. And the tach works. Let's just fire the truck up here quick, just so you can. Key out. So the tach works, that's handy, but our shift light doesn't work. So I got to do a little bit of plugging around to see what I have to do there. I'm not sure, like this is the schematic that it comes with, and I've wired it the way that I was told to wire it by the guys, and I tried a different way. I got it to work, but it makes the gauge go wonky, and also the shift light doesn't work like it's supposed to. So I'm not really just 100% sure what to do here yet. I think I'm gonna have to call back again, tell them I did that, doesn't work, see what they have to say. So what else did I do? I put 2 more degrees timing in the truck. I'm actually going to add 2 more degrees timing because it definitely runs better than it did, which I knew the timing was low. I left it like that so it was easier to start when it's cold, but now we want to make a little bit more power. I have to turn timing up, but it's easy because it has adjustable timing gear. I also put a new serpentine belt on it, but I also noticed that my tensioner pulley is jacked up, so we're going to pull that off and replace that. I will probably do a separate video about that because doing a non-AC one. Everybody says, you know, there is a pulley. Originally, the non-AC trucks had a pulley that was ribbed. You can't buy that pulley anymore or a tensioner like that. So usually you just run a smooth one. I'll show a picture of it. But you can buy a pulley. I have done it before, but I can't remember the number. So I ordered a couple different ones. So as soon as I figure out which one it is again, I'll show you, and I'll show you can do it both ways. You can do it with different pulleys, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I'll show you that. But that will be the end of this video. the install, actually, while I got you guys on the horn here, let's just quickly talk about this, because it's hard to show you guys, like actually show you when you're wiring it, because you're jammed in there like a monkey. So disregard this because that doesn't work yet, or if it's even going to work, I don't know. Any of you guys have ever installed one of these? The part number on it is, I think I showed before, but a 5312 on one of these gauges, which part number on the gauge is 6806. Anyways, if I can't make it work, I can't make it work. I'll figure something out. This is super easy to make work. Ground for your wiring circuit. Oh, I should have turned the lights on. Power, ground, your ribbed, your smooth, sensor. The hardest part of that whole schmozzle is that you have to cut grooves in the harmonic balancer, or you have to have a tone wheel that has 4 knobs on it, or grooves, or tips, whatever you want to call them. Raised screw something. Anyways, you have to do something like this, or like this. I chose this one because I had the ability to do it super easy, no screwing around. So that's why I did it that way. And then also too, with this thing, for your recall, this is actually kind of cool. So you can set your tach, you can set your recall to see where it goes, which will either hold it up there for you, you can just check it after, and then you go into erase. Super easy install. This I do really like. That one thing that you do need to do though is make sure when you're putting the sensor in, for you guys to be able to see down in there, when you're down in there, you have to make sure that you have that. Let me go over to the whiteboard here quick. Whiteboard. So circle, and then we have the notches, right? So, and then this is, I'm going to exaggerate the size of the sensor, but this is your sensor. You have to make sure that this face is parallel, like with the center line of the crankshaft kind of idea. It doesn't have to be the crankshaft, I don't imagine, but you need it so that if you have, yeah, I think the range is actually 30 to 50 thou. So you want to make sure that if you have, I set mine at 35 thou, but you want to make sure you have 35 thou here and 35 thou here to get it as straight as possible. I'm 1 thou out now, for best I can tell anyway. But you want to make sure that's as straight as possible, because I had it so that this was like 30 and then this was like 80, and I was getting an erratic reading on the gauge, like the gauge was just doing one of these when you revved it up. So that was kind of not cool. But anyways, I got that fixed, realized that I didn't have it straight, but that's the reason I made the bracket adjustable, because I figured I was going to have to straighten it that way. I just thought I had it straight. Looking down at it, it looked straight, but it wasn't. So anyways, we got that fixed. So super easy install on that. I will keep you guys apprised of what I got going on for the shift light, because that's honestly the reason that I put the gauge in there, was for the shift light. So if I can't make that work that way, that's going to kind of suck, because between the shift light and then that digital, whatever they call that thing, digital thingamajigger, digital pro shift controller is what they call it. Between those two things was like $300. So I would prefer well, basically have something I can't use, because I bought it from Summit. So that means that I can't send, well, I could send it back, but they're not going to take it back if it doesn't not work. Like, it works. I'm sure it works. But the problem is that it doesn't work with this gauge, I don't think. I think that's the problem. Either that, or I guess there could be something wrong with it. That's possible too. Maybe I'm thinking that it doesn't work with the gauge and there's something wrong with it. But I'll have to call them again and see what they have to say. I'm going to hook it up again while I have them on the phone, tell them what it's doing. So that'll be it for this video. Like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments, and remember, it's not rocket science.